They use the iceberg model to describe what the biggest challenges are that us as humanity face. The biggest challenges that us as humanity face. Because I figured if I must be busy with something for 50 or 60 or however long I'm going to be working, best I use my time trying to solve for or being a part of solving for some of the biggest challenges that face humanity. Good idea, yeah? Okay. So this was quite an interesting model, a very succinct model of what is the problem with humanity. What are the biggest challenges? And what they do is they decant the challenges of the world into these three things. They call it the ecological divide, the social divide, and the spiritual divide. Now, the ecological divide, they say the challenge that the world is facing is the fact that man is using nature and abusing nature to the extent that there will be nothing left. So there's this divide between man and nature that will break nature and that will in the end break man, but we just keep on going. So the problem is that the ecological footprint of man on Mother Earth is 1.5 times. So we take annually 50% more from Mother Earth than what she can replenish. 50%. The other horrid stat is that in the past 40 years, a third of the arable land in the world disappeared. In the past 40 years, a third of the arable land disappeared. So you guys work in that industry, so you know exactly what I'm talking about. And probably the last stat that's even more scary is that food prices will double by the year 2030. But we just keep on going, right? We keep on going and we keep on going and we keep on going. And being part of a company, being part of a mission, being part of a vision of a company like AFGRI, where you say, listen, there's a food shortage in the world, there isn't food security in the world, and part of the reason why there isn't food security is because there's this divide between man and nature. We want to be a company that does something about food security on the continent of Africa. Okay, so there's a lot of purpose in that. Because it solves for something that humanity is struggling for. And then if you can do it in a large company like this that can really have an impact to solve for the ecological divide, okay, there's purpose in that. The only question that I'm going to ask today is whether your personal purpose aligns to that purpose. And then the third challenge, the spiritual divide. Now, the spiritual divide has got a lot to do actually about purpose, and that is this notion that you live as a person, and you know that there's certain innate capability and giftings and stuff that you've got in you, and you know that it can be used for the good of yourself, for your family, and for others, but the potential self is just so divided and far removed from your actual self. And that is why the World Health Organization in the year 2000 that did a study that said in that year, in the year of 2000, twice as many people on earth, twice as many people died killing themselves than what died in wars and in riots and in other mischief in the world. Twice as many people in the year 2000 committed suicide than people that died in wars and terrorism and so on. Horrible. Because there's this massive divide between who I am and then who I am living as. And that's got a lot to do about purpose. And guys, girls, if I hadn't been able to go through this journey myself, how can I lead my son? How can I lead my daughter? How can I lead a company? How can I lead a team? So it's probably one of the most, in my opinion, one of the most important fundamental journeys that we will ever go through as individuals. Grit, vasbyt. Because if we are going to put ourselves into changing things in the world, that is hard. It is just so much easier for us as leaders to make money and to get money at the end of the month, just furthering these divides. Because there's a reason why these divides exist. existing commerce, existing companies, existing social networks, all of the existing stuff, the status quo got us where we are. But now to say, I'm going to do something that is going to deal with the status quo or the results of the status quo, that is so hard. And if you are not clear, if you're not so clear on your purpose, in my opinion, you're going to struggle when things get hard. When the moment that you go against the status quo, you need a lot of grit. Just an example of how quickly you can get knocked off balance or off purpose. During last year, so towards the back end of last year, been in this country all my life, and I'd never been subject to like armed crime. Never been subject to like a gun and I was driving home the one night. On the way, just in Santon Drive, on the way to the N1 highway, I mean, it's 20 past 6 in the afternoon. I'm like 6 cars from the front, and I hear a rumble at the side of my window. And I thought somebody wants to watch my windscreen. I say, no, thank you. I'm speaking with Blader and Nina and Miko on the speakerphone. And then I just hear click with his pistol against the window. Joch, and you skrik. And this guy is screaming. He says, open the window. And then I tried to open the window, and I opened the back window. It was a mistake, but he thought I was trying to be funny. I wasn't trying to be funny. And then he started screaming, open the window, and I opened the window. And now this guy starts screaming, give me this, give me that. I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you. My kids are listening to all of this now. And then, so later says, and then they just heard, dum, 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 dum. So he took the cell phone and he ran. Dum, 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 dum. Took a lot of stuff, didn't take the car. Light went green, pressed the accelerator, and I was off. It's absolutely surreal. And I'm not the first, I'm not special. During that day, the very same boss that went to the art festival, he was also hijacked. Another one of our people in our company also hijacked that night. During that evening, there were cars set alight with the meter taxis and the Uber guys were having a hard time. In this little bubble, the social divide of Santon, all of these things happened. I drove onto the highway, got to the first traffic cop, got his phone, just phoned my wife and kids and said, I'm fine, I'm on my way home. I got home, and there was this welcoming committee in the driveway. They didn't have banners, but they were very happy to see me. And I got home, and I got out of the car, and Nina, our daughter, she's 13 now, she looked at me and she says, Daddy, why are you not crying? I said to her, Mommy and I'll cry with Mommy later tonight. I'm still all right. We went into the kitchen. I was sitting down, and immediately the two little ones. Now, just put yourself in their shoes. So they heard this person, this guy, screaming at their father, "I'm going to kill you! I'm going to kill you!" It's the first time that they've been exposed to this type of thing. So they're sitting there. They're a bit shaky, and they said, "Daddy, why did this happen?" So at that point, I said, "Oh, that's a good question. Great question." And I asked Nina, "Please bring your little whiteboard, and I'll try to show you." So they've got these little whiteboards with markers that they study on, and they can rub it out. And I asked the question, so how many kids do you think do we have in South Africa? No, Daddy, we don't know. 57 million. No. So I wrote it all, the Nella. Oh, Daddy, so many zeros. Yes, so many zeros. 57 million people. And then I asked the question, how many people in South Africa do you think are poor? No, Daddy, don't know. 30 million people of the 57 are poor. How many people, Nina, Miku, in South Africa do you think live with less than $2 a day? So that equivalent. No, Daddy, don't know. 13.7 million people in South Africa live in abject poverty. And then they can do percentages now, and work out the percentages. And I said to them, this is the issue. The issue in this country is that this guy that took a gun to my head, maybe he's got a daughter of 13 and a son of 10. Maybe he's got nothing. That watch that he stole from me can feed his family if he can sell it properly for the right price. That can feed his family for a year. For a year. and I'm wearing it on my wrist. That's why it happened. It's because there are people that just don't have anything in this country, and they are driven to crime. And then Miko, unfortunately, he's too smart for his own good. He asked me this question. Okay, Daddy, what are you going to do about that? Great question. What are you going to do about that? And as we were sitting there, I said, okay, so, when I say at Ashburton, these are the things that we are trying to do as a company. And they know, I'll take you through the 3 reasons for our existence in a moment. They know exactly what it's for. And I said, I'm going to continue doing that. Then I said, when Daddy spends time with kids that don't have fathers, that are grown-ups, that are trying to be fathers to their kids, the time that I spent with the big word is mentoring, the time that I spent with them to help them to also make a difference in this country. It doesn't help just 2 people do it, that also set it up. But Daddy is going to continue doing that. Kids, when we as a family do work with kids and with teenagers that have issues and so on, we're going to continue doing that. And the kids got up, thank you, Daddy, they went to watch television. No fear, no hate, no racist issues, nothing. Nothing. Why? It's because when it got hard, when it got tough, because I've had the privilege of being anchored in purpose, and I framed my life around that purpose, when the going got tough, we did not get onto a plane. That is how amazingly, amazingly important it is to be anchored in purpose, because it gets hard. Whether it's in your business, whether it's in your family, whether it's just in this country that's been so tough. Purpose, in my opinion, is what anchors us in order to be one of those people and one of those companies in this country that try to do things differently. Purpose for me as a person, for our company, if it's not driven off something that is different than the status quo, I promise you South Africa has got trouble. Doesn't matter who the president is. Doesn't matter who the deputy president is. Doesn't matter what the budget speech is going to be today. Doesn't matter who the new finance minister is. Doesn't matter what the cabinet is going to look like. If the people of South Africa, if the 57 million people of South Africa live with that mindset, that created the divides in the first place, and if people don't have a purpose that they live out towards this type of mindset, South Africa, I can promise you, it will get worse before it gets worse. If the people of South Africa live in a space where there's scarcity of resources, I need to hang on for dear life to my house and to my car and to my bank account and to my watch and to my whatever. If the people in South Africa, if the companies in South Africa, if the leaders in South Africa have that mindset of scarcity, we are stuffed. Because the fact of the matter is, if you think about that stat, that 1% have the same amount of wealth than 90%. 1% and 90%. The only issue is not of scarcity. The issue is of resource allocation. Now, please, you must hear me. I'm not going to talk about land distribution for no value, wada. Okay, so there's enough people talking about it. I'm just talking about the mindset. The mindset of a leader. The mindset of a purpose of a company, of a purpose of a person. If it comes from the place of scarcity of resources, as opposed to there's enough, can we just find ways to allocate those resources in a way that actually breaks the divide? And breaking a divide is not giving just a handout or an almost or just handing stuff out. It doesn't create value. The issue in our industry that I have, for example, with stokvels. So stokvel is a way to save money, but it is expenditure-led. It doesn't create wealth. So in this Stockfell mindset, it's a mindset of scarcity. Everybody put it together, and this month you can use it, and that month you can use it. But if there are those financial resources, if we as a financial services industry can do something about creating wealth with that money, and from that expend, that is an example of having a different mindset to what created the divide in the first place. And this one is just something that if I and my wife can teach our kids this, then I'm happy to go. If we can teach the next generation to think that you are free from others behind my big wall and my 8 strands of electric fencing, that mindset ain't going to get us anywhere. But to understand that we are free for others, that is a mindset, as a company, as a leader, as a father, as a mother, will make a difference in those divides.